Yeah, hi everyone. You're welcome to today's meetup. Um, uh, Hopefully others will join us as we progress. Yeah, so today we're going to be looking at secret and credential management with Ansible. It will be a mix of uh, um, the presentation and also some demo of Ansible at the side. Hopefully we'll be able to get everything um, fitted um, into the short time that we have. Right. So we looking at uh, secrets and credential management with Ansible. Um, okay. So let me start. Yeah. So basically, um, what are secrets? This is just should I say, uh, uh, like an introduction into the topic. So basically, when you think of secrets, you're thinking about confidential data. Um, Tokens, passwords, certificates, and API keys. These are things that verify your identity to the end system. You want to use it for a particular purpose. So, for example, you want to create a database, you want to access a database or basic day-to-day stuff, your Gmail username, your Gmail password. So basically, we have secrets all around us, your Wi-Fi password. Um, yeah, so these are basically items that you want to keep private. So basically that's those are should I say those are things that we refer to as secrets or credentials. So secrets by themselves are not secrets until they are used for a particular purpose. So for example, I could say ABCD. ABCD is just a variable, or I could say it's a group of characters, but the end use or the reason why or what I'm using it for is what makes it a secret or what makes it something that I need to protect. So basically, when we're talking about secret management, we're looking at or how or where the secrets are stored. Yeah, what is the repository that the secrets are stored, and how are they, and how what do the secrets have? One, we can talk about what the secrets have access to. We can also look at what how the secrets are accessed. So does everyone have access to that secret, or are there different levels of privilege? Also, when we talk about secrets management, uh, these days we have how do I put it? These days we have standards, and then we have security best practices that recommend possibly rotation of secrets, possibly in your place of work. There's some sort of requirement that after a certain number of days, secrets are rotated. So then you also have, when we also look at secrets management, you think of things like auditing and monitoring. So, for example, if you change your you change your password, and then it says based on your history of password change, you cannot use this particular password. It doesn't allow you to use any of the last 10 passwords. So that's part of the audit trail that is set up whenever you change a password or you change a particular secret. Then we also look at uh, developer workflows. That's when we look at how do we inject secrets into our workflows. Do we do it as at runtime, or do we have it on file? So those are the things that we look at when we're thinking of secrets. So Ansible's, because this is an Ansible focused presentation, so what Ansible uses in protection of secrets and provision of secrets is what is called Ansible Vault. So Ansible Vault basically provides a 256-bit encryption. It's password based, so you supply a password, or it could be later on we'll understand the different options. It could be a vault ID, it could be a password, but you supply a piece of text, and from there it then derives the encryption key, right? So when Ansible Vault encrypts a piece of text, a string or a file, what it does is that it transforms the data from plain text to the destination encrypted text, right? So the decryption is done during the execution of the playbook. So you don't decrypt and then leave on disk. So the decryption is done during the runtime, during the execution of the playbook. So what Ansible Vault focuses on is protection at rest, right? So of course, there are different aspects of security. You could say we have protection at rest. You also have protection in transit, but here we're not looking at the movement of the secret data from one point to another. Here we're looking at running a playbook. It could be the playbook is stored on your local system as a developer, or the playbook is stored in a Git repository, right? So here we're looking at protection at rest. So because Ansible has been around for quite a while, people might look at Ansible Vault as not exactly being, should I say, being uh, your favorite encryption tool, but you need to understand that Ansible Vault has been around for a while. It served a purpose, which is I just need to quickly encrypt the data that I need to use, and I want that decryption to be done at runtime. So it works um, for its specific use. So these days we have external secret operators, we have external secret managers that probably do a lot more work, but we'll go into that. Yeah, so we're looking at, so we have this, should I say, fictional company, of course, part of which comes from my last name, which is Lee. So we have this fictional company which are used to draw up scenarios, which is the Techly company. So the Techly company has just started out in production, and it's just expanding. So what as a small company, usually you're looking at uh, starting out with Ansible Vault string encryption. So this scenario is individual developers are encrypting strings and declaring them as variables in an Ansible playbook. Each developer is in charge of the life cycle of their variables, and each Ansible playbook becomes the source of truth for our vaulted secret. So I will be moving from the slides to should I say, to the demo screen. So this is what we're looking at for scenario one. Scenario one is everybody running. Like I said, scenario one is individual developers encrypting strings and declaring them as variables in an Ansible playbook. So for scenario one, we look at, so this is how you create a vaulted variable. So for example, you run um, Ansible Vault, you encrypt string command. And so when you run the encrypt string, this is like the password or the secret that you want to encrypt. And then this is how you name, you can give the variable any name, but this is the script, the secret that you want to encrypt. So Ansible Vault gives you the option of providing you could create the secret, or should I say you could create the encryption password in a file. When you run Ansible Vault encrypt string vault password file, it could also prompt you for the password. So for example, if I run, let's say I run this now, Ansible Vault encrypt. So what it's going to do is it's going to prompt me for a vault password, right? And so let's say I create a vault password test. So this is what you get out. So what it's done is that it's encrypted. You've named this variable as pass, and it's giving you the 256-bit encryption equivalent. So this is what we have here. This is how you basically encrypt any string. You can encrypt. So it could be a change me pass, it could be any password that you have. So you run the Ansible Vault encrypt string, and then it gives you this as an output. So what we have here in scenario one is let me show you what we have here in scenario one. Okay, so in scenario one, this is what I've done here in scenario one is to um, uh, basically, this is a basic Ansible playbook. So what I've done here is, so we're in the first scenario, the company is just starting out. So what you are doing is you are embedding your vaulted variables directly into the Ansible playbook, right? So I've showed you the process. So I've encrypted the string here. So I declare the variables directly into the playbook, and then it's a basic playbook. So what we are just doing is we are reading out the variables to show you the result of what we encrypted. So what we are going to do here is, so I ran this earlier, I encrypted the variables, and then I declared them directly. So if I run the playbook, this is what you will see, Ansible playbook scenario.yaml. So I'll just show you. So what he would do is I will attempt to decrypt the variables, but what I did not do is that I did not supply it the password that I used during the encryption. Remember, Ansible is password-based encryption. So when we ran this command, I had to provide an encryption uh, a password for it to encrypt and for it to give me an output. So I try and do this, it tries to decrypt, but then it didn't find any vault secret. So there are different ways of supplying the vault secrets. We'll go into that later. So, but one way I can do this is ask vault pass. So what I'm trying to do is ask me for the password. I hope I remember the password. Yeah. So it gives me so what it does is that it decrypts and it gives me this change me pass, which is what I set in as the password uh, as the secret, right? So I set in change me pass, and then I put in this output as the secret. So this is the basic scenario. Techly has just started out. We just have one or two developers, and everybody is embedding their passwords in their file. So we move on to, so of course we know this is the advantages. So in this scenario, the playbook becomes the source of truth for the vaulted secrets, right? So you have the playbook and the how do I put it, and the secrets all together in the same file. It's simple. You're starting off, it provides simplicity for changing the volatile variables. All I need to do is just go into the playbook and I change the variables. But of course, there are disadvantages. We do not have any scalability as changes in the playbook would introduce an error in the vaulted variable. Now think of me going to change something in the playbook and then making a mistake and deleting just a character in the encrypted text. I'm going to be troubleshooting two things at the same time, both the playbook and the encryption, right? So it's error prone. So it's not something you want to do. You don't want to embed your variables in your playbook. So of course, this is a scenario in which we're just starting out. That's scenario one for you. So we move on to scenario two. So scenario two is we have multi-string encryption in vault file. So uh, in scenario two, we have the secrets are encrypted and are stored in a secret variable file. So here we're looking at separation of concerns between the secret file and the Ansible playbook. The Ansible playbook does the heavy lifting, is doing what we need it to do. So we need to have a separate file with a different life cycle from the Ansible playbook. So the variables file, if we have experience with Ansible, you know, you could have a group vars or a host vars, or you could also have a dedicated file with secret variables. So with this system, um, this is best practice because the secret lifecycle management is separated from the playbook management, right? So both vaulted and non-vaulted variables can also share the same source file. So let's see what an example of what we're looking at in scenario two. So in scenario two, we're separating the vault file from we're separating the vault file from the from the Ansible playbook, and this is part of what I mentioned. So when we're running the playbook, we have two options. We can specify the ask vault pass, which is to prompt me for the password, or we can also specify vault password file. So you can also, so something I didn't mention here was we could also have run the playbook here instead of ask vault pass. We could also have done specify the vault password file, and the vault password file I've stored it here in vault pass, so I could run that same playbook, and then it will give me the values of the variables, right? So please remember that all of this is not best practice. This is what we call an anti-pattern, but we're just using this for demo purposes. So let's move on to scenario two. So in scenario two, we have, let me bring up my scenario two. So in scenario two, we have a separate vault file, and then we also have um, uh, a separate code file, right? So the Ansible playbook is separate from the vault file. So the vault file, we're using the vars files to bring in to include the variables that we specified here. So the same thing was done here. We used the Ansible and Vault encrypt string. We put the value of the variable here, and then we then included, or should I say, use this VAS file keyword to include the variable. So let me go back. So in scenario one, we had the variables declared in the file, right? So if we remember that. But in scenario two, um, so this is scenario one. So we had the variables declared in the file. That was scenario one. But scenario two, the difference is that we created a separate file called Vault Scenario, right? So it could be any name. So what we have done is we've placed the vaulted variables directly into that scenario, into a separate file, and then we use this keyword to include the secret file in the playbook. So what we're having is a separation of concerns. If there's a separate secret file, we can manage that separately from the Ansible playbook. So if we are making changes in the playbook, we are making changes in the playbook, right? So it's a separate, should I say, separation of concerns, and it provides us the security that one will not directly affect the other, right? If there's a problem with one, it has nothing to do with the flow of the other. So what I was trying to explain earlier on is, so on running this playbook, it's able to give me the printout. So what I'm using is the Ansible built-in debug module. The debug module, what it does is that it prints out variables, right? So I'm just like decrypting and showing you this was the original variable that I typed in. This is when after encryption, it's giving me back uh, Um, sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I'm recording, still recording. Okay, yeah, I'm still recording. So what I'm doing is I'm decrypting and it's giving me back the original values, right? So are you still with me? I hope you can hear me now. Are you with me? Okay, okay, thank you. Sorry, a little paranoid now. I'm just making sure you can hear me. So that's what we have. So, but the question is, how do we? So, but remember in scenario one, I specified the password. So, what are the options if you don't want to specify? Here we have if you don't want to prompt for the password when you run the playbook. So you could of course if you run the playbook directly, it's going to give you an error, which is what happened in scenario one. But in this option, you could also specify the vault password file. You could say you should ask vault pass. So what I did in scenario two was so how come in scenario two without specifying the vault password or typing it in at runtime? So how is it that it can run the playbook for me? So this is where you have your Ansible config. So in the Ansible config, in the default section, this is where I specify the vault password file. So I have it written centrally as code. So this is what I've done here. And then it runs the playbook and then it gives me the output. So that's so you have three options. You actually have more than that. You can also specify it as an environmental variable. But most of the time in production, this is what we see. In the Ansible config file, you write this out so that once any playbook is created with the same vault password file, you don't need to specify the vault password as part of the command line. You just run it Ansible playbook. It makes life easier. I just want to run this playbook, Ansible playbook scenario two, and then it's able to decrypt the password for me and use the password in any other Ansible module that I need to use it in, right? So that's scenario two. Of course, these are the by cons. I mean, what are the disadvantages? Of course, it can be error prone as the developer encrypts the secret before pasting it in the vault file. So we move on to scenario three. So scenario three, technically has grown, is expanding. You have multiple developers with multiple workflows. So well, in this scenario, we are encrypting the whole vault file, right? So instead of copying and pasting, what we are doing is we're encrypting the whole vault file, right? So the advantages of this is that the encryption is easy to do because you're encrypting the whole file. You're not encrypting individual variables. It removes the possibility of errors that are introduced by individual encryption. So that's the third scenario. So let me show you what we're looking at in the third scenario. So okay, so let's look at scenario three. So in scenario three here, we're maintaining best practice in which we are separating the um, the vault file or the secret file from the playbook. We are not putting things in the playbook here. So let me move on to scenario three. Okay, so here in scenario three, if we look at okay, vault scenario three. Okay, so scenario three. Okay, so what I'm doing here, so I have this same so this is my original file. These are my passwords. What I want to do is to vault them. So, but instead of doing the Ansible Vault, what we command we have AI encrypt string individually and copying and pasting. So what we are going to do here in scenario three is I'm going to encrypt the whole file, right? So so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to encrypt the whole file. Now, once I do, we will see the changes because it's VS Code. You're going to see how it changes. So once I do this, it's going to encrypt the whole file. So now, remember why didn't Ansible ask me for a password? If you remember in the reason why I didn't ask me for a password here is because I have this setting, all right? So I've specified a password in this file, in this password file. So I've specified my password in this file and I've referenced it here in the default config. So automatically, once Ansible reads the default config and it uses this password to encrypt and decrypt the file. So what I'm doing here in scenario three is I've encrypted. Remember what we did? What we did was to encrypt the whole file. So let me reverse the process and so that you can so we can catch up again. So this is the vault file. This is where I stored all my secrets. So what I'm doing is I'm encrypting. So let's say I'm okay, maybe I have a lot of variables and I wouldn't, maybe I'm a lazy developer. I just want to encrypt the whole file, right? I don't have time for copying and pasting. So I encrypt the file. This is what you see, right? So with this, you can put this in Git or thereby you can store this in your repository. And then it's, even though it's just a single block of text there, I run my scenario 3 playbook. It's able to, yeah, so it's still able to decrypt pass 1, pass 2, pass 3, and pass 4, right? So um, it's able to decrypt all of them. So this is in a scenario where we don't have much time. I want to encrypt the whole file. I don't want to encrypt individual variables. This is what we use. So here, of course, the pros secret encryption and decryption is easy to do. It removes the possibility of errors that are introduced by individual encryption. So, but the disadvantage here is that you can't mix normal variables with, should I say, normal or unencrypted variables with secret variables because the whole file is encrypted, right? And the challenge here with the ease of encryption is that every change to the secret file will involve 3 steps. So first, I have to go back and decrypt the file. If I want to make a change, let's say I want to make a change to, okay, this is where we are. So I want to make a change. I have to decrypt it, which I just did. I then go to pass 5. I then add new user 5. I save. I then go encrypt, right? So every single change would have to mean decryption and then encryption, right? Before I can then run the playbook. So it introduces like a couple of extra steps and it's a little more tedious. So it's very fast if all your variables are possibly not going to change. If you want to do quick encryption, it works well that way. But then when it has to do with changing, it becomes an issue, right? So uh, it becomes some sort of anti-pattern when you have to make changes. So if you are not going to make changes, or if you're going your work, uh, you're having a couple of static secrets that don't change, this option works out well. So now what happens in then? So this is scenario 4, in which it technically has multiple developers, multiple environments. Remember, usually in production we have dev, we have prod. You could have your QA environment. So Ansible Vault, should I say Ansible Vault provides what we'll call a Vault ID. So what is a Vault ID? A Vault ID is a tag or a label. So remember when you look at the encrypted secrets, all you see is a blob of encrypted text. But sometimes you want to see, okay, what when I have multiple passwords or when I have multiple environments, I want to be able to tag this secret, right? So I also, is it possible for me to have a junior developer join the company today and me assign him should I say, assign him this workflow that involves a dev password or a test password, right? I don't want to give the developer the production password. So what do I do in that scenario? So that's where we make use of what we call Ansible Vault ID. So multiple users are not limited to a single password. It increases your flexibility because different Vault IDs can be used for the same secret. It also provides you visual clarity on inspection. So let me show you what I mean by visual clarity. So this is, let me close scenario 3 and let's go to scenario 4, right? So here in scenario 4, let me show you what the vault file looks at. So here in scenario 4, we have the dev pass vault, and then we have the prod pass vault. So these are separate, or what I'll call, these are different, um, should I say these are different. I hope you can see my VS Code, right? And I hope it's not too small. I'm trying to, okay, so yeah, so what I did was just to increase the word. So here we have different files. So you could have, in this case, we have prod pass pass vault. So here, what we are doing here is we have different passwords, right? Instead of just having just one single password. So how do we apply the Vault ID in this scenario? So what I did in this scenario was I ran Ansible Vault encrypt string and I specified the Vault ID. So what the Vault ID does is that, so the Vault ID in this case, remember I said the Vault ID is just a tag or a label. The Vault ID in this case is dev, right? So I created this for secret change me pass one. That's the variable, the secret variable, and I used the dev pass. So what this does is that I'm saying tag it with dev, right? And use the dev pass, use the password stored in the dev pass vault file, right? So what this command is encrypts. It uses the dev as the vault ID, and then it uses the password that is stored in this file. Here, what I'm doing is I'm using the prod as a label or as a tag, and I'm using the password that I've stored in the prod pass vault file. So the same thing here. So now what does the vault file look like in this scenario? So if we, okay, so let me bring in the scenario file. So, sorry. So let's take a look at what the vault scenario. So in this case, so if you compare this to the previous type of vault password file. So for example, let me go back to scenario 2, vault, scenario 2, 3, vault password file. So, okay, no, maybe not scenario. Let me go to scenario 2. Okay, so the difference between the previous scenarios and this one is what you see here. This is what I mean by a tag or a label. So you see that there's something called the dev, which was the label that I chose when I ran this command here. This dev shows up in the string, right? So it shows up in the encrypted string. Now it only shows up, it only has a meaning to you, right? So when I'm talking about visual clarity is that when we have multiple passwords, I want to be able to quickly identify which password did I use in this scenario, right? So here in this scenario, I used the dev password. That's why it shows up here. So this was what I ran here, dev at, and it picked the password from here. So in this scenario, I used the dev password. And in this scenario, I use the prod password. So in 1 second, I can get visual clarity if I'm not sure what password was used for what. I can apply the Vault ID, and then it will then and the Vault ID is what is used for decryption. So code Ansible. So there's a difference. There's a little difference here in the. Sorry. Okay. So we have Ansible CFG here. Yeah. Okay, so remember I talked about the Vault password file earlier. Here in this case, what I did was in the Vault identity list, I specified we have what you call a Vault identity list. So I specified the different Vault IDs. Remember, the Vault IDs are like tags, or should I say labels, that are added to the encrypted password. So in this case, I run my playbook, which is scenario4.yaml. So the playbook is still able to then, bring out, remember, these are the things that I encrypted originally here. Change me pass one, pass two, in dev, and change me pass one and change me pass two also in prod. So even though we have different, okay, so in vault scenario, we have a different vault ID for dev and a different vault ID for prod. I'm still able to get out the original passwords, right? So we can use the different vault IDs in reference to different passwords and still get this output. So that's what we achieved in this scenario. So do we have any question before I move on to basically what we see in, should I say, in production these days? Do we have any questions in the chat? Okay, so so if there are no questions, we move on to scenario 5. So so in scenario 5, we're making use of external secrets management. So this is probably what you see in a lot of DevOps environments, right? So
Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah.
If we're moving over to a different backend, then I do have a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sir. Please, please go.
Okay, so I really enjoyed so far. This is exactly what I was expecting from Ansible Vault, and this is what I found so far too.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm really miffed with is it possible to store the Ansible password, the master password, instead of a file? Is it possible to store it in an environment variable, like we do with all our AWS keys, Terraform keys,
Yes.
whatever else?
Yes, yes. So I actually mentioned that earlier while I was on mute. So for every, so you can actually, so if you do export, so there's the option of doing, one second. There's the option of doing uh, export, I believe Ansible. I'll have to look it up. It could be Ansible Vault password file, or you could have, so it's either this or Ansible Vault password file, or
Right. So
Vault password. So it could be the file, or it could be the Vault password itself. So you can, so there's an environmental variable option for it. Yes.
thank you.
Yes, so you are right. So there's that environmental variable option. So yeah, so I'll quickly move on if yeah, if there are no more questions. Yeah, so uh best practices this is is to let's say outsource secrets management. It's these days we might look at it that, oh, the job of Ansible is to run my playbook, right? So I need to have someone else handle secret management and secret lifecycle management. So um a tool that I'm familiar with. So Hashicorp Vault is not the only secret manager that is available on the market. You have other ones like Conjure. I believe Conjure is a CyberArk product, and you have a couple of others. Those are for on-prem. So for cloud-based ones, of course, you have AWS Secret Manager. You also have Google Secret Manager, and I don't remember what the Azure one is, but for all the major cloud providers also provide their encryption options, right? So, but HashiCorp Vault is one that I'm quite familiar with, and I'm using it for this example. So, HashiCorp Vault, you have what you call the KV secret engine in which we store our secrets, right? So you can store your secrets in HashiCorp Vault, and then from HashiCorp Vault, pull up the secret in Ansible. So what you are doing is you're separating the role of Ansible from you're separating secret management away from Ansible, right? So let HashiCorp Vault. So most likely your developers have like a secret tool, a Vault tool already. So why shouldn't Ansible benefit from that? So I can store the secrets in Vault and then pull the secrets from there. So what I'm just going to do is show you. So for as an example, yeah, so I did some pre-work, of course. So this is what HashiCorp Vault looks like here. So what I did is I created a couple of secrets in the secret engine. So HashiCorp Vault provides you the option of storing secrets in paths, right? So this same secrets that I stored, change me pass or whatever secret or variable you have, you can go into HashiCorp Vault and then store the same secret and then use a lookup from Ansible to HashiCorp Vault. So here in this secret, in this path, I have um, dev secrets, right? So what I did was I stored a couple of variables here in secret dev and dev secret. So if we quickly go into, um, if we quickly go into HashiCorp Vault here. So I have a HashiCorp Vault instance. So remember, all of this is test. I'm not sure supposed to be showing you my passwords, but um, okay. So okay. So and then let me do this, and then log in, right? So what I'm going to HashiCorp Vault has all different secret engines. So the one we're using is the KV key for that's the one for the key value pair. So what I'm going to do here is um, so I'm going to show you. So the same thing that I showed you there in the GUI was what we have here. Remember I created a path dev and I created another part prod, right? So what we have here was dev and prod. So if I go further and then list secret/dev, so it shows me the same path, dev secrets, and then so because now I'm in a file vault kv get, right? So these are the key value pairs that I stored in this path. So it's the same thing that you have here online. So if you go here to secrets user one, if I want to show you, so it's pass one, right? So pass two, pass three, same same thing that we have here, pass one, pass two, pass three. So now I've configured the secrets in the Hashicorp Vault. So what I'm using is a Docker instance of of Hashicorp Vault. So now, how do I retrieve the secrets um, in Ansible? So Ansible provides so we now move on to scenario five, right? So the secrets are configured in HashiCorp Vault using the KVV2 engine. So we make use of what we call Ansible lookup plugins. These are extensions that help you retrieve data from external sources. You provide parameters to these extensions, and then they retrieve the data. So here we're looking at retrieving the data from HashiCorp Vault. Remember, we can use different secret engines, but for this use case, we're looking at using it for HashiCorp Vault. So this scenario 5 is similar to scenario 1, in which we had the variables embedded in the playbook file. So let's go to scenario 5. So in scenario 5, what do we have here? So in scenario 5, so this is what we have in scenario 5, right? So, uh, sorry. Okay, sorry. So in scenario 5, what we've done here, so we have like, remember when I was logging in, I specified a couple of things, the address of the vault instance. So because of course you can see 127.0.0.1, this is on my local system, possibly on the loop back. So what I'm doing is I'm specifying the address, I'm specifying the token. Remember, this is an anti-pattern because we are embedding it directly in the this token is what is used as a connection token to HashiCorp, to our HashiCorp Vault instance. So don't do this. Remember, I specified it's for dev scenarios, so don't do this at home. Or don't do this at work, right? So if you're just running dev, that's when you specify a password. So we're declaring this inline, and then once we run, so what we are doing here is I'm running so what I'm doing is it goes to HashiCorp Vault and it pulls this secret. So you can see here, pass one, user one, pass two, pass three. So it pulls in the secrets and then I can use it here. So just to show you that, so here what I'm going to remember here, it's to show you that it's really pushing it. So I will use, possibly I'll use someone, let me see if I can edit this here. No. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, okay, I was thinking of, let me do this. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, okay, um, so let me try and see if I can add, okay, what KV list secrets. Okay, dev secrets. So, okay, so let me see. I hope I remember the command. Patch secret slash. Okay, user one equals mic. Okay, so so what I'm doing here is I changed user one to Michael. Apologies for using the name of one of the attendants. So just to show you that if I make a change, the the playbook is able to read the change from Ansible playbook secrets. Yeah. So you can see here that user one reading the secret, it changes to Michael, right? So that's what we have here. Ansible is connecting to Hashicorp Vault. The changes in Hashicorp Vault are reflected in Ansible. So I'll move on to the final scenario, right? So the final scenario, of course, like I said, the inline declaration of secrets in the playbook is an anti-pattern because the vault token is not encrypted, right? So we move on to the final should I say the final scenario? So also the same, this text is the same parameters of the lookup provide authentication to Hashicorp Vault. But the difference in this scenario is that we are going to separate. Remember, we started originally with inline declaration of variables. We're going to separate the variables from the playbook, right? So this is best practice. Now, best practice in quotes because I couldn't get to Vault. So yeah, I'll show you what the problem is. So what I did in this case was to, okay, so let me move to scenario 6, right? So in scenario 6, what we have in scenario 6 is this. So instead of having everything stored in the playbook file, remember, I want to keep our playbooks focused on being a playbook. So if we go to the secrets file in scenario 6. What I've done is I've moved everything to a separate file here, vault scenario. Remember what we had before in scenario 5? All of this was stored here. So I've moved everything to a separate file here. And then in scenario 6, you have a clean file, clean playbook file. And then if we go to, remember, I've moved everything to vault scenario. So what I've done here is to specify, hey, this is the variable that I want to, it could be user one, it could be anything. So, right, so, but I use the DB password here. So what I'm doing here is I'm printing out, remember the path, data, dev secrets, I'm printing out the user one key, right? So I want it to give me the value of the user one key. So what I did here is to separate this to separate the connection parameters from the Ansible playbook. So that wasn't the only thing I did. So here we also have the Ansible config file. So here, this is where you can also, Ansible is flexible in the config file, you can declare the URL for the Vault, Hashicorp Vault instance. In this case, I used what we call the token file. And also similar to the question that Michael asked earlier. So I could also decide to use, instead of using the token file, because what I did was I stored the token on, sorry, can you give me a second? Seems like my laptop wants to go off. Sorry. So what we have here is I stored the token in a file, right? Remember, this is also not the ideal solution. The ideal solution is that you actually store the token in an Ansible vaulted variable, right? So it's like two levels of vaulting. So first you get the HashiCorp Vault token, and then you vault the token with Ansible Vault, right? So such that you can then store the token on disk. But this is almost at that stage. So this is just for the demo purposes. So I've stored the token here, and then once I run this file, I run the playbook here. What it does is that it prints out the user one variable. Uh, no vault token. Okay, so no vault token specified. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is yeah. So I know I specified. Yeah. So I just need to go back to my secret here. So this is, so I then run the playbook. So what happened was the question that was asked by Michael was that does it provide a way to use an environmental variable? So this is what I did here. So I specified the same vault token as an environmental variable, and it printed out the user one variable, which is Michael, right? So I could decide I want to print out the user two variable, right? And which is passed through. So yeah, so basically, so scenario 6, remember we're looking at best practices. It provides a connection to to Hashicorp Vault, which is we're separating security management from Ansible. The Vault connection parameters are separated into the Ansible configuration file, and uh, the connection parameters are separate in the config file. Then also the lookups is put in the variables file. So what are the, should I say, the cons or the disadvantages? It's a little more complex because you're managing parameters in, should I say, 2 or 3 different places. But yeah. Sorry, can you see my screen? Sorry, can you, let me see, let me share again. Yeah, so yeah, so this is what we have here. These are the, should I say, these are the disadvantages of this scenario. Yeah, it's a lot more complex because you're managing parameters in the config file, you're managing parameters in the variable file, and then you're managing the configuration in the Ansible playbook. Yeah, that's all from me. Do we have any questions? Apologies, it's a lot of information to take in, and yeah. Okay. So if there are no questions from um,
Let me finish with the question then.
okay, okay, sure.
I'm interested in your opinion. So these two are both valid ways of storing secrets for Ansible.
Yeah.
Which one would you normally use in an environment? What kind of environment, and what do you think is the best for which environment?
Yeah, so like I said, I use the Techly as an example. So usually for most, it also shows the way companies progress. So it's only if a company starts or if a dev shop starts in 2025, that's when you see them going to scenario 6, right? Most of the time, if the company has been around for years, you're probably going to be starting from scenario 1, 2, 3, 4. So, but if you're starting in 2025, you're going to be looking at something like scenario 6 because a lot of companies centralize the security function, right? So they say, hey, developers focus on code, while the security, should I say the security department focuses on keeping security, keeping our secrets secure, right? So it's a separation of concern. So the only thing the developers focus on, okay, give me the connection parameters. Give me how do I connect to the central secret management software that you have. So these days, you're probably going to be starting from looking at scenario 6. Um, and remember, in scenario 6, the token has to be encrypted, right? So you can't get rid of Ansible Vault because if you want to encrypt the token, you have to then encrypt it with Ansible Vault. So you have like 2 layers of encryption. So if you're starting out in 2025, these days you're going to be starting out with a centralized software that manages your secret, like Hashicorp Vault. And then you're going to focus on using Ansible for what Ansible does best. Yeah,
Can I add another thought there?
yeah, yeah, sure.
I've I went through with different companies with each of these scenarios. obviously Hashicorp Vault is the most robust, the most centralized,
Yeah,
eventually the most secure if it's set up properly.
yeah,
But in small companies, I also encouraged people, especially with startup shops,
yeah,
1 to 2 developers. I encourage them to use whatever they have available
yeah,
and
yeah,
keep it secure.
yeah,
And this is why I asked about the password for Ansible, because I tell them to store the password in 1Password.
yeah.
So they
Okay.
store their password securely. There is an automation to retrieve the
Retrieve.
password from one
Yeah,
password or
yeah,
from GitHub Actions if you're using CI.
yeah,
And Ansible Vault gives them enough security with enough flexibility that they don't have to start managing a HashiCorp Vault server environment for their at that level startup project really.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so
So
I really appreciate that you showed all the scenarios because I think they are still valid and valuable even in production
even
environments.
yes, yes, I agree with that. So the CI scenario is one in which it's actually, so for the CI scenario, you also have like, if you're using secrets as part of your CI flow, I mean, you can count up to 10 scenarios there. So that's a whole new presentation on its own. So you can use a local file, you can use it as part of the, so if you're using GitLab, you can also, GitLab also has its own has its variable declaration. So there are different options of injecting it at runtime. So the CI is a whole, should I say, presentation on its own. But just like you said, um, you meet the technology where you are, right? So you're a small shop, you're going to be able to do things that make you work better, right? So you are not going to be doing things at the scale of a big tech company when you're just one or two developers. But it just helps to have an overview of what people do, where people are coming from, where people are, and where people are going. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I think we're a little bit past a couple of minutes past time. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone for joining in.